right. That next item is listed as an action item. It was requested, I believe, by Nicole, but it's the Washington Street safety issue. So is this Everett, or how are we introducing this?
Yeah, exactly. So Nicole requested this item. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Thank you for adding this to the agenda.
I'll click through and Kyle's on now, so I'll
So
let
Kyle, yeah, I'm going to let Kyle from Bike SD present a little bit on this.
Great, thank you so much for taking this item up. And what we have here are just a few slides, and to move quickly through it and catch some people up to speed who have not heard about the, you can go to the next slide, Everett. So didn't hear about the hit and run accident, crash, collision that happened on August 21st. Where a bicyclist, a 66-year-old bicyclist, was biking up Washington Street in the eastbound uphill travel lane. And if you can see the painted over bike lane symbol there. So this is cell phone footage from a witness, and this has prompted us advocates, local advocates, to call for this particular section of street to be looked at, to see why these bike symbols were painted over, and which has led to this horrific accident. Fortunately, the people who did flee the scene were found and caught and apprehended. If you go back one slide, Everett. So the existing conditions here, just to give a little bit more of an overview, there is an existing Sandag project that has been in the works for many, many years. And as early as 2013, it was discovered that bike lanes had the bike lane symbol on the breakdown lane had been painted over, because that was existing as an interim stopgap measure until the Sandag project could be completed. I believe the estimated completion date that I saw was 2022 for this project. Feel free to correct that time for the delivery of the project. The current Class 3 painted sharrows at the very bottom of the hill are not to NACTO guidelines or the state of California speed limit recommendations for speed limits above 35 miles per hour. The posted speed limit is 45, and there was a speed study that was done that shows the average speed is 55 miles per hour, with motorists getting close to 70 miles per hour, excuse me. So the bike lane symbol reappears further up the hill. We had just today, you can go to the 2 slides forward, Everett. So just today we had a press conference, and you can see I'm actually wearing the same shirt. Over my right shoulder there are the painted over bike symbols, and you can see the sharrow that exists in the travel lane. And so this is being used as parking, but further up the hill, behind the view of the camera. So you're looking towards the Interstate 5. So this is where the incident took place, and many advocates have been calling for safe passage on Washington Street, because it is a very critical connection, especially with future transportation projects coming. And so what the press conference was held today, many members of the meeting tonight were there. We're calling on the mobility board to take some action on this, to, in the interim, before the Sandag project is completed, replace the bike lane symbols in the breakdown lane so that cars are no longer allowed to park there because it creates a very, very unsafe condition. Just when we were there earlier today, we saw two people biking up the hill and there were cars parked in the lane and they had to merge over into the travel lane, and cars are coming 45, 50 miles per hour. So it's very, very dangerous. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is the first half of a letter that was signed by Circulate San Diego, Climate Action Campaign, the Bike Coalition, the Mountain Biking Association, and Bike SD. We're calling on the city to take action on the requested, the outlined action that I just mentioned. The second half there is just the second letter, and I can send that letter around to anyone who's interested. Next slide. Thank you. So here are the requested actions for the Mobility Board to consider. Requesting the City of San Diego replace the Class 2 bike lane symbols that have been painted over, remove the parking from the bike lane, and to create a Class 4 lane on Washington Street by using plastic bollards or vertical barrier flex posts. And then a second motion to, this is not I'm sure that we can all think of other areas across the city where sharrows may exist in streets where there's travel by cars upwards of 40, 50 miles per hour. So the second motion here is to take a more comprehensive look at the city's streets where Class 3 sharrows may exist on streets where the posted speed limit is over 35 miles per hour, and also considering the actual average speeds traveled to report back to the Mobility Board to see if there are some other steps that can be taken, because a sharrow being put on a street where cars are traveling 50 miles per hour is more dangerous than nothing at all. So that concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Let's see if there are questions. And I was out there today, and I obviously have ridden that section many times, and it is quite dangerous and without any identification of the bike lane. And my first thought when this was being presented is, can we do more? And so I think your first motion gets to that. In doing more in the interim, it seems, until the Sandag project can be completed, because I do think it's an urgent matter between, that has safety impacts and that Sandag's working on, but it's going to take a while to get there. So can we do something in the interim? So I have Chris has a comment. So let's go to Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Sandy. Just a couple things. That project, the Washington Street project, we haven't submitted our plans to the city for review yet. So we're way past 2022, just so you guys know that it's not around the corner. It's probably, before it's open, I would say best case is probably 2024.
Wow.
To be honest. And we have some challenges with the design, especially that section. So I would like to, as we often do between Sandag bike program and Everett, we should probably have a chat. I think we're scheduled to do that coming up anyway, but I just, the parking presents obviously a big challenge. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know that it's further away than that. But if there's any chance to coordinate and maybe, just have another discussion on this, Everett, we'd be open to that.
Cool, thanks, Chris. I touched base with Danny today. So
okay, excellent.
Definitely do that.
Yep.
Andy, I'll read the two public comments as well on this item.
Thanks. Yep.
For the record, this comment is from Noah Harris with Climate Action Campaign, and he writes, "We urge the Mobility Board to work with the city to ensure safe bike facilities on Washington Street. The recent serious injuries sustained by a cyclist hit by a driver on Washington Street are absolutely unacceptable. The city must immediately return the Class 2 bike facility to the breakdown lane on the south side of the road. With high car speeds, this is already a dangerous road for bikers and pedestrians, and without a clearly marked Class 2 bike lane, the threat of traffic violence is even greater." And one from Paul Jameson, who writes, "I'm asking that the Mobility Board recommend that the city immediately restore the painted over bike lane and remove signage on the south shoulder of Washington, east of India Street, after a bicyclist was severely injured in a hit and run there. More than 5 years after the city established its Vision Zero goals of reducing pedestrian and bicyclist deaths, it still expects bicyclists to share the lane on a steep incline with motorists driving 55 miles per hour plus. The city's climate action plan calls for increased bike and transit use, and this is the only east-west corridor to the Washington Street trolley station. We can't wait for the completion of the Sandag-Washington Bikeway to make it safer. In addition, vertical separation such as ballers would also increase safety by providing more visual separation to motorists. Thank you." Okay, those are the two public comments.
Those are two public comments. Are we seeing more committee comments? Board member comments?
Gary's waving his hand.
Okay, I can't see that, but go ahead, Gary.
Thank you. Gary Smith. I would move that we take that first action that was proposed there in whatever language we wish to go forward with. But I would also think that we ought to think about an immediate fix, which is to change the speed limit. If we're going to be 2 years doing the thing, we could put in a temporary speed limit of 25 miles an hour up and down that grade. If you do the math, doing 40 miles an hour instead of 25 miles an hour, you won't save 38 seconds. It's just not that long a stretch of road, and there's no reason why you couldn't reduce the speed limit to make it safer.
That's good. Good point. Rosa?
I would like to support what's presented to us. I think it's very necessary for us to move forward with these changes, and I do want to emphasize, like, share roads are very dangerous in San Diego. I don't have to remind y'all, but that's how I broke my foot and how I got in a bike accident. And I think these are the immediate steps that we need to move forward with. And I would like to second the motion that Gary moved forward with.
So to be clear, there is a motion from Gary to ask or recommend immediate evaluation and improvements for Washington Street, correct?
That's the first of that recommended action that was up there before.
Okay, the first part. And then Rosa did second that, I will say. And I will certainly support this. Is there any other comments or discussion on the motion for this first part?
So Andy, I just want to thank you for bringing this to agenda, and thank you, Mike SD and Kyle, for presenting this, and definitely support that motion. Thank you, Gary and Rosa, for supporting that. And, just that physical barrier or Vision Zero guideline is to have a vertical separation when speeds of vehicles are going at greater than 35 miles per hour. So that is definitely a plus, and I hope our board will support this. So yes, thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead.
It's Serge.
Oh, Serge, go ahead.
I just wanted to know if anyone knows if that terrible crash happened at the intersection or past the intersection, and how fast the car was moving. Do we have that information?
I don't think we have that information complete.
I'm unaware. The video is pretty graphic, and
it shows a little ahead of.
Yeah. we don't have detail on that. I don't.
But
think.
regardless, nobody should have to share a uphill grade or any level of street with cars going 55 miles per hour. And as much as I would like to reduce the speeds, the California speed trap law is not going to let us reduce those speeds. So I stick with the full first motion on that slide and support that.
Great. So we'll do unless there's any other comments that Everett sees or hands.
Maybe Rosa has a hand up once again. Just
I didn't. Okay.
Accident. That was an accident. I didn't know how to.
Okay, no worries.
So let's do roll call to vote on the motion for the city to evaluate and make immediate safety improvements needed on Washington Street. And then we'll just go with that motion for now. So let's go with Dan Reeves. Maya?
Can you put that motion back on the screen?
Sure.
That last slide? Thanks.
Great. So
thank you.
So the request to the city is to replace the Class 2 bike lane symbols that have been painted over, remove the parking from the bike lane, and create vertical separation through Class 4 treatments on Washington Street. So that is the motion. So is Dan here? Let's move to Maya.
Yes. Support.
Gary?
Yes.
Serge?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
I vote yes. Rosa?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Noli?
Yes.
Umberto?
Yes.
So there are 10 yes votes, and the motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Really important. And thanks for the city.
Andy,
Yeah.
While this is on here and we have 4 minutes left, I would like to make a motion for the second motion to request that the city of San Diego determine other existing Class 3 bicycle facilities on streets citywide that have travel speeds upwards of 35 miles per hour and look at possible treatments to redesign those streets and report back to the mobility board.
So the request is to have the city review those.
This is a second motion.
The area, right?
For those streets that have sharrows on high-speed corridors.
Okay. So there's a motion from Nicole. Would there be a second to that? Or Everett, do you want to comment on what the city can do there?
Am I muted? Yeah, no, certainly we can look into that. One that comes to the top of my mind is Miramar Road. I think we have some sharrows on that.
Okay.
And Grand.
So to formally approve a motion to have the city review those streets is what's on the table here. So do we have a second for that?
This is Stefan, and I'll second it.
Great. Any further discussion on the second part of this motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I have my hand raised.
Yeah.
I just want to, I think we should discuss for a second what look at possible treatments means and what kind of feedback or report we want to receive from the city later, rather than like, well, we looked at it, whatever that means, and then decided something.
Sure.
So maybe something a bit more concrete would be useful.
I appreciate that, Alex. And I know that we have 1 minute left for this meeting. So I think that's something we can talk about when they come back and report back to us.
So Thanks. And I think the level of detail is what the recommendation or the question was, but the motion on the table is to have the city come back with recommendations on streets that can be improved, that have sharrows and speeds over 35 miles an hour. So I know we're short on time. I just want to vote on the second motion here, and I will do a roll call starting with Maya.
Yes.
Gary?
No.
Serge?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
I'll vote yes for District 3. Rosa?
Yes. Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Noli? Noli?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm still thinking.
Okay.
Come back to me, please.
Umberto?
Yes.
Noli, I'm back to you.
I'll vote yes.
Okay, so that passes 9-1. Sorry for the sirens. Great. Thank you, everybody.
Daniel Reeves here.
Oh, Daniel, sorry. And that's a yes.
Thanks.
So that's
You got it.
thank you. That's 10-1 for clarification. All right. So that we have subcommittee reports, or do we have any before we adjourn this meeting?
I think we'll have to table those, Andy.
Okay, we can table that. And thanks everyone for being here. Our next meeting is scheduled for October 7th. In the meantime, we'll look forward to the subcommittee meetings and we'll put them out there as to when they're happening too. So